Inflation is essentially stealing from your wealth. I want to talk about inflation versus deflation in this video and how strange of a time it is to be in an investing position, because historically the goal is to be a saver. If you're saving your money in a bank account, your goal is for that money to be there for the rainy days of the future, so to speak. What's strange about the day and age that we're living in today is that we have a situation where we benefit by spending our money as fast as possible. If you hear about like real estate tycoons or, all the different financial gurus, the goal is to spend the capital on investments and write-offs as fast as you can, so you can at least shelter the funds before they get stripped away from you. It's such a strange time, because what is inflation? Inflation is you are saving money and it is worth less in the future. The currency that you use is worth less in the future. It buys less goods and services. The $2 gasoline per gallon is now $4 per gallon. What changed? The money's worth less. That's inflation. I think we're seeing inflation across the board, whether it's gas, whether it's lumber, building supplies, groceries. Inflation is pretty much taking its toll right now, and they say it's only 2% in change, but I think it's quite a bit more than that, and I think the true numbers are going to come out eventually. Now, deflation is the system that we wanted to have. When we had a gold standard, deflation was a system where your currency could buy more in the future. You can get more goods and services for that. So if you had put your money in silver, let's say, a year ago, and silver was at 18 a year ago, you can buy more with that silver, so to speak, that now it's 28. Now you have silver that's 28 plus a premium on top of it. That's another big aspect a lot of people don't know with silver, is there's a big premium on top of the spot price. So you're talking well over $30 here for per ounce of silver. So when you bought silver at 18 and now it's over 30 for the actual physical metal, you have a situation where your asset that you held a while ago is now worth more and buying more in the future. It is appreciated, and now you can get more goods with that initial holding. That's what you want with money that you're holding. But the problem with our system today is the banks don't even keep our ice cubes frozen. If we're looking at the dollar like it's an ice cube, that's essentially going to melt over time, because statistically it's proven that. Again, these are just my opinions, not to be taken as financial advice, disclaimer, but the banks don't even keep our ice cubes frozen. If you give the bank your money, they get to use your capital and do whatever they want with it, whether it's give out a bunch of loans on the capital, whether it's invest it, however they want to multiply your capital. You're giving them a free loan at, you guessed it, 0%. Or because all they have to do is give you 0.01, whatever amount their interest rate is on the bank, they can't even give us a penny on the dollar. I've always said that in my videos. You can't even give us a penny on the dollar. That's a funny analogy that you're supposed to use. Oh, I can't even get a penny on the dollar out of them. We can't even get a fraction of a penny on the dollar out of the banks. If the banks had any sort of ethics, you would think that if they knew the inflation rate was, let's say, 3%, I think it's a lot higher than that. Personally, I think inflation is somewhere around 10 to 20%. Judging by how much gas has gone up, how much groceries are going up, how much lumber is going up, seems inflation's a lot higher than 2% or whatever it is that the Fed is now saying. But if the banks had any sort of ethics on our checkings accounts, it doesn't even matter to be a savings account, on our checking account, they would give us enough interest to compensate for inflation. But they don't. They don't care. They will take your $1,400 check and they will let you cash it there and put it in their bank. A lot of us, got it digitally booped into our accounts, or even if you get the check, where do you deposit the check? Right at the bank, right? They then get that capital in, and it adds up. When it's across the board, $1,400 across the board, the banks loved it. So what does this environment do of money printing right now? It makes the rich far more rich, and it makes the poor and the middle class far in way worse shape, for lack of better words. Way worse of shape than the rich. The chart now, it used to be kind of a curve like that, the wealth gap chart, and now it's starting to look like just an L. It's literally, and then there's just so much more wealthy at the top. It's ridiculous. Why is that? Well, because what we're talking about with inflation, if inflation is happening, which pretty much looks to be that case, that it is going into, in my personal opinion, I think hyperinflation is around the corner. But if inflation is happening, anybody who has the assets, anybody who parked and sheltered their funds in an asset, whether that's real estate, whether that's gold and silver, whether that's Bitcoin, wherever the asset is, however they're holding their capital, now it's costing more of that currency to buy that asset that they held. Who has assets? The wealthy. Who doesn't have assets? The poor. So if you have inflation, all that does is makes it harder for the middle class and the poor to be able to get to the stages of the wealthy, because now they have to pay more to get their business started. They got to pay more for their lumber to build. If they're in construction or whatever they're doing, maybe they're building a construction company. Now that middle class worker that is working to build a construction company has to pay more for his supplies or her supplies to build that business. It's harder for them to get ahead. That's what inflation does. So the money printer is not helping anyone but the rich, in my personal opinion. Everybody that had silver, that bought silver and held silver over the last year, I know a lot of people say you could have gotten better gains here, better gains there, but you know what? 18 to 28 plus a big premium on top if you have physical, it's a pretty solid return right there. But what happened if you just kept your money and you were just keeping your cash in a bank? It did nothing for you. All it did is now it has an inflationary environment, and that dollar can buy less. It takes more dollars to buy things now. This is information that I just wanted to share, and I want to go over kind of my ideas on how to make a better economy, because the environment that we're in right now is basically kicking a can down the road and hoping that you can kick it further. I hate to make a joke out of it, but it's true. It's just kicking the can down the road, print some more, and then when you get to that point, kick it a little bit more. And at some point, you just wonder, you go, is there ever going to be a stage where they actually own up to it? And they go, well, yeah, you can't kick the can. We're at a wall. The can's hitting a wall. We can't kick it anymore down the road. What do we do now, guys? And by that time, it'll be too late, because what happens if they don't print the money at this point? If they don't print the money, the whole financial system collapses. So they have to. They've put themselves in a corner where they have to keep printing and printing and printing. But what would have happened if they didn't print at all? What would have happened if they never printed and they just didn't tax anyone? And they either lowered the taxes or just said no taxes for a few years. They would have saved money because they spent roughly $15 trillion. If they only take in $3 trillion per year in tax revenue at the government, they would have saved capital by just saying no taxes. If you get a W-2, how much money would you have saved if you got the whole W-2? You got every dollar that was in there, that nothing was taken out of it. Because when you get a W-2, it's automatically taxed. You don't even get the chance to spend that money on anything. Even if you have a write-off in mind or whatever it is, you get that at the end of the year. You don't get to take that out of your check right away. What would it be like if everybody got their full check? People would want to work. People would want to work. You'd go, wait, I get the whole check? There's nothing taken out of it? Beautiful. That's what happens when you don't overprint your money supply. Then more people will want to work. The economy could thrive. And by not printing more and more of that currency, you put yourself in a position where that currency might get strong. But that's not what we have, and it's impossible to really get to that now because of what has happened. Pandora's box has been opened, and now it is what it is. So what can we do here? We can park our money in things that are deflationary. Whether when I use the term deflationary, I mean, I'm thinking Bitcoin, I'm thinking precious metals, I'm thinking real estate. It's basically the only real deflationary asset, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, is Bitcoin because it's ultimately finite. We know that there's 21 million, period. There isn't any more after that. So that is the ultimate deflationary asset because it really is the only actual deflationary asset. However, things that are finite, collectibles, technically collectibles that are a limited edition, let's say if you didn't know that there's only 1,000 of a certain item or there's only one of this painting, then you're kind of in a similar position as Bitcoin in a way because there's an exact finite amount. So you kind of have a deflationary asset there as well. But those types of things on parking your money in real estate, whether it's building your own business, whether it's, and getting cash flow out of that business, whether, you're in gold and silver, whether you're in collectibles, whether you're in Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. Personally, I'm only really big on Bitcoin. But I think you get the message and what I'm trying to get out there because I want to help teach people on my channel and spread, real information. And hopefully it helps you in some way. I'm sure there's a lot of things I missed out on, but I just wanted to do a rough overview of inflation versus deflation and the current environment that we're in, because this is a very strange environment. It's very strange because you'd want to save your funds for the future and be ready for a rainy day. You want that's the reason for a 401k. That's a reason for saving money for a retirement. But you would be better off in a way if you put that money somewhere that's going up in value. Just to end the video on another comparison, some people don't think silver's gain over the last year is very big compared to maybe some stocks or wherever the money might have been. However, let's look at silver. If it's at 18 and now it's at 20, 27, 28, plus you're adding a premium on top of it if you have physical silver. What's interesting, back when silver was 18, you were able to get it at a relatively close to spot price. This is the first time that I've seen silver going up, but then there's a disconnect on top of that where there's a bigger premium that isn't slowing down. The premium seems to be staying there, if not getting bigger on the premium, where the gap from spot to what you're actually paying on silver is growing that premium while the price is higher. But what would have happened if you were just saving for your retirement and you just put the money in a bank that pays no interest or little to no interest? Would you have been better off, in silver? I would say so. Because you're looking at a situation where you're almost at double. You're somewhere around 80%, 75% up on your money in a year. So would you rather be there or would you rather be getting an ice cube that's inevitably melting away? See, it's damaging the savers. It's damaging those who are saving for the future and trying to better themselves in society by putting money away. But if you don't know what to do with your money, if you don't know that the environment that we're in is inflationary, then you can get taken advantage of when all you've been doing is the right things and saving for the future. So all I can say is protect yourself. And if this video was worth your time, if you got some value out of it, would really appreciate it if you hit that like button. Know I say it every video. Really does help with the YouTube algorithm. If you hit that like button, it helps more people see this content. If you want to share this content and get more people to understand the type of environment that we're in today, if there's some topics that I missed out on or some topics you want to see me talk about in the future, please throw a comment down below. Would love to hear from you, and I'm sure everybody else would love to hear from you. There's always some great conversations happening in the comment sections. If you would like to be subscribed to the channel, please do click the red subscribe. That really does help, and I would love to have you as part of the community as well. Thank you for being part of the channel. See you at the next video. Signing out.